all the way up to the finish line. Who is it going to be? And it's Sean Perez who wins in Cresson.
Ty Fisher wins $1,000 in KA100 Junior.
How about John Bird for TV Kart USA on home soil? They take the win in Amarillo.
Amarillo Kart Complex is now the official distributor for TV Kart in the continental U.S. Become a dealer today.
Champions aren't just born on the kart track. At SimShop, we deliver professional-grade simulators with the best performance-to-price ratio in the industry. Founded by racers who understand what you need, our SimMagic and Moto equipment is powerful enough for the pro.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like 20 bucks a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like 50 bucks a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Paulie Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion, Paulie Massimino. Car rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to KA100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead-follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
morning to those of you here in the paddock watching on, and to those of you at home as well watching on from home. As always, my name is Caleb Vieska. Joining me here this weekend, Mr. Nate Dean, and it's a pleasure to bring you guys all the live coverage for the third round of the Texas Sprint Racing Series from Cresson, Texas, here at the beautiful Kart Moto. Again, we had a great day of racing yesterday. We already saw a couple of morning warm-ups here today. We internally, we're talking a little bit about Tanner Barsh, all the other drivers that have been super impressive. The drivers starting on the pole in their respective classes. We're in the K100 Junior class now, presented by P1 Engines. And Nate, first of all, let's talk a little bit about what we saw yesterday. I think, firstly, right, it's been, I think, one of the biggest things. And as well, it got hectic at points throughout some of the.
Well, everyone was fairly well behaved yesterday, at least on the opening laps. Towards the end of the races, we got a glimpse of what we'll probably see later on today during the finals, and looking forward to that. Of course, KA Junior, one of those classes that's going to be a class to look out for. Nate Gulseth on track at the moment. See, he was due to start on pole yesterday, but after a call for passing under yellow, demoted him 10 seconds down the order in heat 3. He's going to be rolling off on the second row here, Caleb, alongside Luke Cruz on row 2. Davey Barra, Tyrone Kemper Jr. will be leading us to green, but it's Nico Orbezo topping the sheets in K100 Junior Warm-Up. Gage Bailey, Mason Berry, Luke Cruz, Easton Cox, all going quick in this morning warm-up. So it could be interesting to see those guys and where they are in the running order come the main event later on today. But like we were talking about off air there, Caleb, you don't want to show all your cards in morning warm-up too early, and it could be a sign of them not exactly having long run pace come the main event.
I feel like this morning whenever we were talking to each other here in the booth, Nate, just talk a little bit about kind of what we saw as well in the morning. The temperature is going to be a lot different. I think that's the biggest thing to note here. Temperature-wise, we're going to be kind of looking at something different later on today. The temperature is going to rise up, on and off the racetrack, if you will. So it's going to be exciting to see, I think, the racing take place here later on today with already kind of what we've seen. So, again, you talk about penalties added overnight with no calls and whatnot. And, again, they did try to protest that. Unfortunately, didn't get overturned for them. But, again, you roll with it, right? You roll with the punches, and that's what it's all about. We're talking with a couple of drivers as well last night of just that, right? Rolling with the punches. Peyton Phillips was one of those that we talked to him. We actually were able to catch up with him. Nate, why don't we hear what he had to say after a hectic Friday for him, Saturday, sorry.
I think a rough day to say the least with how it started, but I think it ended better, as good as it could, right? Talk about that last heat race first of all. That's the first thing. We're fresh off that. Like the best result you've had so far this weekend.
Yeah, I think it shows that we have the pace. We have the pace to be at the front. We know it's good enough to race through the field, especially with Trevor's T-built engines now coming along finally. But yeah, just dies on the start. Nothing much you can really do. Just put your head down. Trevor didn't call me on lap 1, so I was like, all right, let's see what we can do. Picked our spots well, played the game right, finished 15th. Yeah, we could have gone a whole lot further with more laps. So even though we'll be starting pretty far back in the final, I think the pace is there, and with how everyone's racing right now, I think it could be good.
Talk about the weekend as a whole now, right? It seems like you guys have gone through everything on this Saturday. Talk a little bit from the beginning over in qualifying for you.
Well, when we loaded off the truck on Friday, fast, top 5 pace, top 3 really easily. But a slight little hiccup in qualifying didn't really allow us to do more than 1 time lap. So not the greatest heat 1, get a 10-second penalty, 10-second time penalty for the engine change, which around a 50-second go-kart track is really not the greatest thing ever. Would have been better to just stay inside, save the tires a bit. Heat 2, coming to the field once again nicely, and then just got into an unfortunate incident which ruined me and another driver's race, but no hard feelings from that one. And yeah, final heat good. Pace looks good for tomorrow. Still have my hopes up high. I won from 15th here, so a couple more spots can't be more typical.
Yeah. I feel like it's been kind of hard to get a smile out of your face, right, today with how the day's gone so far. But what would really put a smile on your face, tomorrow, at the end of everything? Look back with how you ended here last year. I feel like anything's possible, especially at a track like this, right?
Yeah, and we can even see in the heat racing right now how defensive everyone is, because they know when they get to the lead, the wind is going to just push them right back into the field. So I think even though we'll be at the back, still expectation is to win. The idea is to win. Like always, that's any race we go to, the idea is to win on track at least. And I think we have a good go-kart, fantastic go-kart, and a really good engine that Trevor's built by himself in the shop, keeping me up until 3 a.m. because my room's right next to it, so it's not bad.
Well, it was hard to get a smile out of his face, I think, after the day he had yesterday. But even then, it was great to hear him kind of high spirits after the last heat race. I mean, everybody within the top 20 seemed to be within 3 seconds of each other, which is absolutely unheard of, Nate, in any race that you go to, pretty much anywhere. If you're in a go-kart race and you're 3 seconds from first all the way back to 20th, 25th, that is wild. That is a jam. That's pretty much I would say that's worse than a Houston traffic jam at rush hour, 4 p.m., 4 in the afternoon. You don't want to be a part of that. I've been a part of it. My lovely bosses put me on a flight that puts me into Houston right at 3, and then I get in my truck at 4, and I'm stuck there for an extra hour. So my travel day from what could have been 3, 4, 5 hours maybe turns into 7 because I'm stuck in traffic with a bunch of angry people who just got off work. Not a good time, and that's exactly what we saw yesterday in that last heat race number 3 for K Senior. But no, all jokes aside, I think Dallas traffic is just as bad. If we were stuck in that as well Friday.
Got a little pent-up anger there, Caleb.
I'm
just had to let that out.
I'm venting, man. I tell you what, we need bigger highways. We need bigger highways in the state of Texas. Must be said. But jokes aside, it was great to hear from Peyton. And again, anything is possible. Got a smile out of his face in the end. And yeah, we'll see it. He did it from 15th last year. We see, I think, what we saw in heat race number 3 transpiring in the main event. We're going to see a good result out of him. Focusing here on 206 Senior, presented by Slipstream Racing. Mr. Nathaniel Dean, we've seen some great racing in this class as well. Chris from McKeithen, great day for him yesterday, but it's the young lady out of Louisiana, Cameron Reed, the Racing Cajun, starting on the pole position, and she seemed quite confident yesterday when we talked to her in the morning. And again, we got one driver up and over. I think that's Lasek, Mark Lasek, that is. Nick Miller here, and Madison Knox up and out of the car. I think we got a red flag, yeah.
It's obviously unfortunate to see. TSRS medical crew will be going to work, making sure that driver is okay. Did get out of the cart, though. Just going to take a quick break here, let the crews go to action as red flag here in 206 Senior warm-up.
Yeah, we'll take a commercial break from our side. Take a break from the action, and we'll be right back with official intel on whether that driver is okay.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200?
I'm tired of all this Brandon business, okay? Brandon this, Brandon that. Why are there all these expenses on AKR over $200? We know, okay? Take a walk with me. At Shop AKR, they have everything you need to start racing at a very cheap and affordable price. They have MXC rims, they got chains, electrical stands, tilt seats, they got MXCs. And if you didn't know, on top of that, any purchase in the continental US over $200, that's free shipping.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in the AKR Anonymous meeting over there?
Dude, I'm doing a commercial.
Dude, we have no time. It's about to start.
Stop. We all love Shop AKR. Me? More than others. What do I get at Shop AKR?
MXC rims.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle
Kyle Cuthbertson doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney. Turney in the dirt.
Florida kart racers, you asked for it and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Brandon, why?
Alrighty, so we're gonna conclude or continue this warm-up session here with 206 Senior. Drivers seem to be all right, which is why we resumed the on-track activities. So far, so good. But nonetheless, we continue going here. And Nate, we were highlighting a couple of the drivers. Talked about Cameron Reed. The young lady's been impressive on her Reed Motorsports CRG machine, and again, she's kept herself up front almost all day long. Went 2 for 3 in heat races yesterday. So again, she's been impressive, as well as a couple of other of the young drivers. I mean, you want to talk about Carter Kilgo, the 604 as well for the AR Academy, starting 3rd here. That's the best start he's going to have for a main event in his young, I guess you could say, senior career. A sophomore in this class as well. Christopher McKeithen starting alongside Reed on the front row. Again, we've seen McKeithen fast on his Coyote PPK machine with John Seglum, Jeff Dolian, that is, starting right behind him. The 2 Coyotes are going to start on the outside line, and again, just important, slot yourself in a line, right? Get yourself in a line once those races start. But what's been the biggest thing that you've noticed so far, especially in this 206 class with yesterday's racing, Nate?
I mean, obviously, it's just the main talking point we talk about a lot when we go to these 206 races is finding your draft partner, finding someone you work with well together. That's obviously what happened yesterday with McKeithen and Cameron Reed. Those two, like you said, will be firing off from the front row later on today for their main event. The rest of the field are going to have to put differences aside to try and break that duo up, as they have been pretty bulletproof throughout this weekend so far. That being said, the likes of Carter Kilgo, Kelvin Zing starting on that inside row should have a good jump off the line. So it was just the geometry of turn 1A and 1B. The first 3 on that inside row typically become the top 3 once they go down the back straightaway. So that could shake things up, especially for Christopher McKeithen not being able to work with Cameron Reed, his drafting partners, throughout the weekend thus far. Could throw a bit of a wrench in the works here, Caleb. Of course, Reagan Seville has been quick all weekend, just hasn't quite had the luck. He'll roll off P6.
I feel like more than anything than finding luck, because I also do believe a little bit in finding your own luck here. It's just the biggest thing, the biggest note I think that I have out of yesterday is picking and choosing your battles, right?
Yeah.
You have drivers, obviously, that you've probably run in with in the past, either previous rounds or at your local club and whatnot. And you know, I feel like a lot of guys, you know, tempers were flaring whenever you come into the into the scales, or when you're out there on the track, right? You're like, I'm not going to let this guy pass me. I'm not going to let him by me, or you know, I'm not going to work with this guy. But you know, everybody's here to win a race. Put that aside for a lap or 2 at least, and go out there and run 2-3 laps together and try and get yourself up to the group. But I feel like we're seeing a lot of fighting, not only, you know, maybe not so much up front, but as well in that mid-pack, where they're not allowing themselves more than anything to get themselves into the mix, to get themselves closer to your McKeithens, to your Reeds, to everybody else that's up there. And that's the biggest thing I think that's hindering the likes of probably Seville, the likes of maybe Zing, Frank, Oliver that's in that mix as well. Chambers has found himself back there. It's just picking and choosing the right battles and when to battle against those certain drivers. Again, you can probably have a lot of team rivalries going back and forth, but even then it's a matter of, all right, put that aside for a lap or two, maybe 3, half the race, put it. Last 2 laps, go out there and you know, rub tires, bang wheels, door each other, whatever you want to do, you know. Last 2 laps, but halfway through the race, fellas, let's simmer it down, work together a little bit to get themselves up there. That's the biggest thing that I think that's been hindering maybe drivers not starting, you know, outside of your top 4 has been hindering drivers, I think, more than anything, to get themselves closer. Because what we saw yesterday, 4 car breakaways in every one of the heat races. It was always Reed, McKeithen, Dolian, Kilgo, it seemed like, running away from the rest of the pack. That's the biggest thing that I took away from the racing yesterday here, Nate.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And see warm-up times as we'll get correct results up there. Kilgo going fastest, McKeithen, Dolian for 2:06 senior warm-up. But like you said, Caleb, it could throw a wrench in the works with some drafting partners not going to be with each other off the start, just with how things roll off. 2:06 Cadet, though, taking the track for their warm-up before their main event later on in the day. So they'll be seeing the track for the first time. Any changes they had overnight, they'll be feeling out on track here to try and get their piece set up for what will be a long main event ahead of them.
Yeah, here we go. Another class out there. This 2:06 Cadets, presented by Speed Concepts Racing, have made their way out onto the racetrack. And again, yesterday, a good day for a couple of drivers, especially the likes of Clayton Stiles on the Iron Rock Motorsports machine. Your most recent race winner here at TSRS, won over in Amarillo. Comes here this weekend with a head full of steam, getting himself up to the front. Has been up in the front throughout the heat races, and he's going to start up in the front in the main event later on today. Clayton Stiles, the driver on the pole position here later on today, the 237. Impressive, as well has been, as well as Aston White, the 221, starting on the outside on row number 1. Aston for the AR Academy has been fast and had a great conversation with his dad and his coach Lucas Nogueira of you know, how Aston was feeling going out there and driving so far throughout the day yesterday, and he's been on a roll so far as well. Mace Lasek qualified on the pole. That's I think the first pole position for that kid. Great race, and I still remember the moment back at Speed Sports Racing Park, actually at the start of the year, super cold, and little Mace comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, you say my name Ledgesek? It's Lasek. It's Lasek," and I can't remember where it was from. And he was like, could you do that? And I was like, dude, I got you, man. I got you. So ever since I've been trying to say correctly. And I check with him every time that we're here. I'm like, hey, we're on the right path. Am I saying it right? We're good? Like, yeah, we're good. So that's good. No, but good to see Mace up there as well. He's been impressive. The 201 has been up there as well. And talk about great results as well so far this year. Yomi Vargas as well in the 207. She's been really good on the 206 side of things. She qualified 3rd back in Amarillo. And then stuff didn't pan out, I think, the way that she would have hoped for throughout the heat races. Fell back a little bit, but this weekend she's been consistently up at the front. And you look at the warm-up times here, Nate, fastest so far.
Yeah, P1 for Vargas by about 0.2 over Strayer. It's a good way to start off this session, of course, and a strong weekend for them so far. As you can see, still more jostling on track. Looking at the starting lineup, though, Caleb, you have to think that Wyatt's going to be definitely the one to watch. It seems like no matter how far back he is, he's able to close the gap to the leaders. Just needs a little bit more racecraft to pull off a race victory here today. One of the CRGs off the track there, Caleb. Not sure who that was, if you got an idea on it, but Aston Wyatt, for me, definitely going to be one to look out for.
Yeah, and while I was talking about Yomi, again, I want to send a huge shout-out to her cousin, Adrian Vargas as well, who's at home. Again, we talked a lot about him whenever we were in Amarillo. Hope the recovery's going well for him and for his family as well. So great to see you know, his cousin and Yomi have a couple of good results here this weekend. So yeah, wish her all the best. Wish her cousin as well, Adrian, back at home, all the best as well here this weekend. Nonetheless, though, continue to go on. About under a minute and a half to go. Aston Wyatt at the front, and we have a little bit of a pile up here. Mikey Todd, Dusty Strayer, and the 224 of what looks to be white, all collected here on the exit of turn number 9. And that's an unfortunate start to this race. You can see Dusty signal over to the race officials, trying to get them untangled.
I think what they've learned here is a crucial lesson of 3 wide at the apex of turn 9 will not work today.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. We have the 204 as well going around again. Get a name on that as well here, Nate. The 204 of Liam Haswell actually caught me off guard. A new suit, I think, for Liam here, or different suit on the Sunday warm-up session. Probably saved white for Sunday. Again, clean look. A lot of drivers do that. I did that as well. White gloves on Sunday for some reason. Yeah, never kept them clean though. So not good. Did you ever save like a pair of nice gloves for the Sunday, maybe for the main event?
That was a nice 360 from one of the CRG drivers there.
Benjamin Osborne, yeah, wow.
That was a good save. But I think especially in the heat, if you do have a couple suits, just having like a Saturday and a Sunday one, especially with how hot it was yesterday, doing 3 races, saving something nice and clean, a bit of a reset button mentally for those drivers that are able to do that ain't the worst idea in the world if you have that luxury.
Yeah, I mean, I usually try to keep my my suit that I wear on Sunday pretty clean, or race day, whatever you want to call it. So clean, probably go to church with it, maybe, you know, and then go to the track after or before. Or it don't matter. It don't matter. Whatever. We're moving on. We're moving on here, Nate. Nonetheless, Clayton Styles actually quickest here this morning, the 237. Great result for him, a 57.305 to start this one up. Aston Wyatt just right behind him in second with Drew Blem, Yomi Vargas, Brody Stoffel, your top 5 here later on today. Quick break in the action. We'll be right back with more K Masters next.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200?
I'm tired of all this branding business, okay? Branding this, branding that. Why are there all these expenses on AKR over $200? We know, okay? Take a walk with me. At Shop AKR, they have everything you need to start racing at a very cheap and affordable price. They have MXC rims, they got chains, electrical stands, tilt seats, they got MXCs. And if you didn't know, on top of that, any purchase in the continental US over $200, that's free shipping.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in the AKR Anonymous meeting over there?
Dude, I'm doing a commercial.
Dude, we have no time. It's about to start.
Stop. We all love Shop AKR. Me? More than others. What do I get at Shop AKR?
MXC rims.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney. Turney in the dirt.
Florida kart racers, you asked for it and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Welcome back here to TSRS Racing Action. K Masters presented by High Five Performance out on the racetrack, Nate. I think more importantly, we just received some very sad news coming out of Route 66. Our KC crew team didn't hold on to the crown in the cornhole tournament last night, and I think that's quite disappointing that they weren't able to do that. I think myself and Hunter Bolton worked very hard for that over when we went to Road America, and that was unfortunately lost. So we're going to have an internal meeting in between the crew and put on a cornhole clinic, because that is unacceptable, I think, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, of course, just apologizing on behalf of Kart Chaser, and we will be taking the appropriate measures to deal with those crew members who tarnished the Kart Chaser name in the cornhole tournament. That will not be happening for the final round of Dousman.
Those guys in the Midwest, man, those guys in the Midwest need a talking to.
They do.
Need a talking to.
Over here in Texas, though.
Hey, it's going great.
Yeah.
It's going great.
Things are going great here.
Racing. TSRS.
KA Master on track right now. Miguel Mir fastest as Daniel Howie quickly retakes that away. Yesterday, Caleb, it was really Pierce Baldus and Miguel Mir. The battle between those two all day long. That being said, though, Miguel Mir starting down in 5th for the main event after a jump start penalty yesterday. So it's going to be Brent Harper starting alongside Pierce Baldus, the driver who seemed to be going to work all race long throughout all 3 heats on that carburetor. Just making adjustment after adjustment on the front straight. Seemed to be working for him, obviously, because he'll be rolling off in P1. Miguel Mir, in the short time we talked to him, Caleb was less than impressed with that jump start penalty, but have to get on with it, as still rolling off on the 3rd row of the grid isn't a bad starting spot at all.
Yeah, not bad for Shane Burkett, who's going to start there in 3rd. Gary Glanger as well. One of the drivers actually that picked up some pace. Apologies there. That picked up some pace as well. Yesterday had the fastest lap, I believe, in heat race number 3. It was a good result for him to get it. And then Miguel Mir actually had a penalty. Had a penalty in heat 3 for I believe it was a double move. Looked over and then saw he was clear and just moved over on the racetrack. And again, just the officials making sure that you know, you're not making double moves on any of the straightaways. So yeah, unfortunate for Miguel. Has some work to do, but again, when we spoke to him last night, Nate, he said he felt confident about the pace that was in the car. He said, we're fast, we're rolling. You know, myself, he talked a lot about Adrian Cruz as well, who is also doing a stellar job. We talked to him. We'll play that interview after this session as well when this one concludes. But nonetheless, I mean, the Cruz Racing Development Team, they've had a good package on hand with Janae Din as well, who's actually rolling off 8th. So he's starting inside of the top 10. That's a pretty good showing out of Janae here to get going for the Masters division. But nonetheless, we're expecting a lot of drivers to kind of keep themselves closer. Brent Harper as well was able to get himself up to 2nd, which I think then ended up in a heat race victory for him after finishing in that 2nd spot. But checkered flag in the air. That's your KA Masters concluding. It's Pierce Baldus. 2 heat races yesterday to his name, the 476. Rounds the timing charts here in the warm-up sessions to Burkett, to Howie, to Mir. And again, yesterday we took some time to speak to him, as well as to his Cruz Racing Development teammate, and Adrian Cruz. Let's real quickly here listen to what Adrian had to say yesterday at the end of the day.
Alrighty, Adrian, what a way to end the day, I think, first of all, right? Talk about that last heat race. So like a crazy one, hectic one, I don't know what you want to call it.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was a tough one for sure. They started blocking off early on, and man, just try to get around one by one, and the kart was there, the speed was there, and we just got around. We were able to get the win at that line with Skinner.
Talk about it as well, you know, kind of how your day's been up to this point. It looks like, you know, you're finally finding your groove, finally finding that confidence, the thing that you missed a little bit last year and maybe even at the start of the year.
Yeah, for sure. Last year was a struggle for sure, but I can't thank enough the Cruz Racing Development crew, my dad, my mom, just everyone under here has put in so much work into this year. Last year was a struggle, but this year we've been so quick, almost every round, and it's shown this year.
I can't remember the last time you found yourself on the top step of the podium, right? But I have to ask, how much would it mean for you? You just said your family, right, that are here putting together this operation. How much would it mean for you guys to turn around tomorrow and come away with a #1 trophy at the end of the weekend?
Man, yeah, it would mean a lot. But we still got another day tomorrow. But for sure, we have the speed, and I'm confident with the package we got.
Great to hear from Adrian yesterday. And again, you know, kind of, I never like posing that question because I feel like more than anything, you kind of get ahead of yourself. But it is something that goes through the driver's head through one point or another, right? Throughout the weekend, it's like, is this the weekend when it's been a while, especially? Is this the weekend where I can get myself back to a place that I haven't been to in a long time? And again, I feel like even waking up after a race win, the next day you kind of look back and when you wake up, it's kind of a feeling of, did that really happen? Was I really that happy for? You know, did this race really bring me that much joy? And it does. And it kind of stings when you haven't been there for a while. So you kind of think about those things, and asking him, great response as well out of Adrian, saying, you know what, we have one more day. It's not over. We got to make sure we got a good piece tomorrow as well. So that's huge for him, especially knowing that he's in the right mind coming into this warm-up session. But nonetheless, we're live with 206 Junior. That's on the racetrack now, presented by TB Kart USA. Sawyer Chambers has been quick so far this weekend. Himself and Rodrigo Poloya so far have been two of the fastest, if not the fastest duo that we've seen almost all weekend long here, Nate. Working together, they went faster than anybody else throughout the heat races.
Yeah, absolutely. Two drivers that have worked together from the word go yesterday and really just pull away every race that they are bumper to bumper in, hopefully for the sake of some on-track entertainment. You have the likes of Emmett Eddles, Mia Johnson, Dean Guerrier, the other drivers starting inside the top 5 that had some pace to be able to close in yesterday, but ultimately weren't able to on a couple of occasions. Hopefully they got better kart underneath them today for their main event to bring it to Chambers and Poloya.
Yeah, and as well, again, Eddles, we saw him go from the back of the pack all the way to the front as well. He's starting third here today. Great results for him yesterday, getting himself into the mix there, Nate. And again, his dad watching on from Guam actually this morning, or I should say tonight for him, losing some sleep. He's out there for work, and again, he's been up all night watching, waiting for Emmett's races later on and throughout the day. So it's going to be quite some time for Mr. Mike Eddles, but again, he's going to be watching on from home as his kid is going to try to get himself onto the top step of a regional podium here later on today. A couple of others, Mia Johnson, again, first podium in Amarillo. A couple of more, Dean Gear, Holton Edwards, drivers that have been getting themselves into the mix. Eva Blem as well has been good. The 315 has been great so far. Levi Meter as well starting alongside them. Good results so far. Good results for a lot of the drivers throughout this field. And again, we're waiting, right, for more of them to kind of break through as well later on today. It's just the matter of starts, which we've said all weekend long throughout the 206 class.
Yeah, absolutely. As a few drivers here getting some drafting practice in down the back straightaway. At the moment, though, Green, fastest on track for, I believe, a TV kart team as well, about 100th quicker than Poloya. Eva Blem in P3. A lot of drivers starting to shake things up. Sawyer Chambers down in P6. Of course, you don't want to read too much into morning warm-up times, but at least for getting a grip at what the first couple laps of the race will be like, you can get a decent idea off of morning warm-ups. Just probably a few more moments left to go here. You can see the timer on the left side of the screen. About a minute left in this session as it's huge pack. Trying to figure out spacing, who works well together. That's another thing here, Caleb, that this morning warm-up session is good for. Not just kart setup, but to figure out who you work well with. We saw in 206 Senior Cameron Reed start to drop back from Christopher McKeithen and work with a few other drivers, probably just to get to grips with that if her and McKeithen get separated at all. But a lot of strategy in these warm-up sessions as well.
Yeah, and again, that's sort of one of the big notables, right? Just going out there, working with different people, seeing who you're comfortable working with, and who you can get out there on the track with. Especially just putting in laps. That's the biggest thing, right? Finding yourself comfortable with somebody who, you know, isn't going to be making mistakes. You obviously can't afford that. Dropping a tire or two even, right? That's not going to help your charge forward nonetheless. But that being said, time actually about to run out here in the morning session for your juniors. But yeah, nonetheless, it's been it's been Eddles who's been the quickest so far here in this one, a 57.272 for Emmett Eddles, with Levi Meter just right behind him. Dean Gearier to Chambers to Brandon Green. It's your top 5 so far. So for the driver starting third at his home track here with 11 Motorsports, just based out of the garages. Again, showing some great pace for the 303 here in the morning warm-up sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. And top 5 are very close to each other on time. So hopefully we have a nice large battle pack at the front of this field, battling it out for position. Of course, checkered flag will be out for penultimate warm-up group. We'll go into K100 senior warm-up and then into main events here for round 3 of the Texas Sprint Racing Series in beautiful Cresson, Texas.
KA senior coming up next.
First of all, we're in round 3, but talk a little about your year starting over back in Speed Sports to the second round in Amarillo, now here this weekend in Cresson.
Yeah, I mean, it's been definitely up and down through both of the weekends. Mainly just missed it in both qualifying sessions, both races. The first race at Speed Sports, I qualified 20th, which wasn't ideal. But, I mean, had a strong comeback through the races and was able to come home with a P2. And then Amarillo, same thing, just screwed up qualifying and had to work my way up every heat race. And then I ended up making a dumb mistake in one of the heats and I had to start like 14. So I kind of did all that work through all the other heat races for nothing. And then I got up to the lead pack and then me and Jose just kind of like hooked up weirdly and that ended our races. But kind of putting those races behind this weekend and hoping for the best this weekend. I think we have really good pace with the GSC kart. We've been making some changes throughout the weekend and testing a lot back home, and I think we have what it takes to win this weekend.
I feel like you've kind of been in the championship hunt last year, the year before as well, winning a couple of races, but this year you're kind of trailing, right?
Yeah.
You won the championship last year. How are you doing kind of further back in the championship points and needing that big win this year?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I still have a chance at the championship, but that's not really so much on my mind right now. I just kind of want to go out and win. And, yeah, the championship, and definitely after Amarillo. Amarillo will probably be my drop, and then I kind of have to keep clean for the rest of the rounds. But I kind of try to put that behind me and focus more on just winning the races and going out and doing my best for the team. And yeah.
Walking the paddock yesterday, a lot of people were saying your name, saying that you were one of the faster guys. What about this track, makes you so comfortable?
I think it's just plain and simple, an easy track, like a K1 circuit. I think it's pretty easy to get. I think you can be fast by yourself, but the main speed, like in qualifying, you're going to need a draft. The draft here is at least if you get a perfect draft, at least a good 3 extra tenths. But yesterday I felt like I could be fast alone, which I felt like was hard.
Great to hear from Jesus Vasquez Jr. there. That was actually yesterday in the morning before the day of racing kind of took off. And
hard to beat.
And when it did, he didn't look back at all, right? Got himself within good results, won a couple of the heat races as well. And that puts him starting on the pole position here later on today, Nate. The 977 of Jesus Vasquez. Again, that Trackside Karting Services GFC machine has been fast all year long, and especially this weekend, shown his pace from the start of the year. We talked to Adrian Cruz. We saw what he had to say earlier on today, and again, we also had a conversation with Landon Skinner. Great to hear from him. Just still looking for everything to come together on the Sunday. They had a valve stem malfunction as well the Sunday when I think he started on the pole out in Amarillo. And again, just little things, right? Putting everything together is the biggest struggle they've had so far this year for Skinner. Rudolph as well, starting there on the outside alongside. And a lot of drivers got mixed up. Jose Carlos mixed up every single race almost. Jose Carlos finds himself starting 6th in the 927 Red Speed Racing Texas machine.
Yeah, a lot of drivers able to start getting their pieces dialed in at this midpoint of the season. Skinner definitely one of those. It's really a who's who of racing down in South on this K100 senior grid like you were running down there, Caleb. Some guys starting maybe out of position. John Burke down in 9th, Jake French down in 11th. Other drivers like Peyton Phillips, who we talked to, down in 26th, I believe. Cooper Shipman, TV Kart teammate to John Burke, down in 21st. He did not have a great day yesterday, did he, Caleb?
Yeah, that was a driver who was just shy of a USPKS national championship last year as well. Nate lost it to AJ Myers, and again, you look back at this weekend, you know he's fast. He's been out of the kart for a while, given, but it's not 21st. You know, I wouldn't say it's rust back from 21st. Something definitely amiss, whether in the qualifying session or throughout the heat races. We saw him again get tangled up with a couple of drivers. I think it was heat race number 3 or 2, one of the later ones where Cooper just, again, bad luck for him, right? And I said it yesterday, right? If you didn't have bad luck, you'd have no luck at all at the end of it all. But even then, you look at it, 37 drivers total. Ian Howell, again, struggle for him as well, for the Jake French Racing man on his OTK, just struggling, right? He started this race last, back in 37th, with a lot of work to do here today, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. There's more than a few drivers that have their work cut out for them in KA100 Senior. Of course, the 38 kart field's going to be hard to get your way forward, no matter where you are on the grid. These drivers are continuing to figure out what kind of piece they have underneath them. Cruz, Vasquez Jr., Jose Carlos Hernandez, Skinner, and John Burke, your top 5 at the moment. Looking back, Caleb, I believe about top 26, covered by a second right now, so fairly close field at the moment. Cruz resetting fast time last time across the stripe, but you got to see the top 4 or so covered by less than 2/10. We're looking at a very close one in KA Senior.
Yeah, usually the gap from first to second is maybe a 10th. You know, at least here it's 600ths. You know, and then you go back to a 10th, almost a 10th and a half with what the spread has been. I mean, this race is going to get close, right? It's going to get, I think, too close for comfort maybe at times. Whenever you see it, I mean, look back at last year, right, Nate? We saw the highlights a little bit yesterday as well, and I'm sure we'll watch them on throughout the day. But it's going to be packed. You're going to have to find a lane. You're going to have to find people to work with, and you're going to have to put differences aside. Simple as that. You're going to have to go out there and for us, little tip, little note, we never know who's going to go or who's going to win it across the line. I'm sure we're going to see 10 different drag races all the way to the line with the amount of with how long these straightaways are here, almost at the end of the straightaway here at Kart Moto. But again, main event action coming your way next. We thank you guys very much for joining us here in the morning warm-up sessions. If you want to watch all the main events live, make sure to become a KC Premium member for only $9.99 a month. It's just cheaper than everything else you pay for, whether it's Netflix, whether it's just cheaper. Let's put it at that. We're already ready and gridded. We'll see you guys in main event live streams.